is a dead IP. It's so strange to me looking back on it and seeing how the very beginning of my origin story of being the biggest Nintendo fan on YouTube was people screaming at me as a kid, like, Halo's an amazing IP, it's so successful, it has all these tie-in books, it's the greatest video game series ever, and then slowly realizing, having experienced the game, playing through it several times, getting to understand the feel for it, getting to see what it was all about, realizing that dozens, hundreds, possibly thousands of Nintendo games were far superior to Halo. Even then, right? It wasn't even a competition for me. I had no desire to play this IP. I had no desire to hear about it. No, I do not think you're the man by beating Halo on Legendary. That was something that people seriously used to do to prove they were legit. Like, oh, I beat Halo on Legendary. Like, no. It was sad and pathetic, and I'm sure the vast majority of those people are living lonely, miserable lives, okay? Halo fans were absolute scum, and they treated Nintendo fans like shit, okay? It was appalling, and I look back on that period as just an embarrassment for gaming. It really was the period, I think, that led into the anti-Nintendo sentiment that would carry into the Switch era, right? Because Halo kind of demonstrated that you can just throw whatever slop in front of an audience and they'll lap it up because, like, oh, well, all the game journalists think it's great. It was laughably stupid even back then, and really should be mocked more by gamers. And I think even back then, plenty of like fans of real FPSs, games like Doom, games like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, right? Like, there was the term even back then, baby's first FPS, right? Halo was never good. It had no credibility. It couldn't live up to the competition. But because it came out at the right place at the right time and sold itself to the right audience of like gullible children who didn't know anything about video games, right? Halo became a phenomenon for like 5 years or so before quickly falling off the map and being forgotten. People tried to say that Halo 3 was good, that ODST was good, that Reach was good, but it was a complete disaster right from the get-go, right? There was no long-term relevancy for this franchise. It was doomed to fade away into obscurity even back then. And I think that was made very apparent by the time that 343 Studios released the Halo Master Chief Collection. What should have been this big celebratory thing, putting together all of the Halo games in one package while they build towards their series' future, expand the lore, expand the franchise, expand the series to like new heights, right? They could have done anything. Instead, they put out a broken mess. They somehow botched a re-release. It was really embarrassing. And upon seeing just how radically different like Halo became after 343's takeover, how disappointing 4 was, 5, Infinite, the reality is 343 was a complete and utter train wreck, really, as immediately after they took the IP. It was not some gradual decline over a period of years, right? And of course, like, Bungie was not like would not be able to save the franchise either because they went bankrupt. They made Destiny one of the worst games of all time. So like 343 produced Halo. They produced all these games, and for the longest time, people were not willing to admit to themselves that Halo had completely fallen off. There was no recovery. There was no like glorious return to form. You couldn't even really play the old games anymore because they were so reliant on online and local like co-op play, right? Halo was dead. Okay. And that makes this all the more amusing whenever you see the studio get in the news, right? So right now, like 343 just confirmed that they are officially changing their name to Halo Studios. They are officially 100% the Halo guys now. I mean, not that they weren't before, but they're officially rebranding because their name, 343, has become so toxic, and nobody likes them, and nobody has any respect for them, and nobody wants to play their games. So they're just going to rebrand as the Halo studio, right? That's what they are now. Instead of having their own identity and like branching out into other franchises, they are just going to milk that cow until it drops dead. Okay, actually, like that happened a long time ago. That happened after Halo 3 came out. So right now they're like injecting that thing with that cow with T virus cells to like turn it to a zombie so it keeps generating this toxic mucus that they try to sell as milk. But it doing that is only turning more and more customers against them, right? They cannot keep doing this. Like again, the fact is this announcement of a simple name change led to a straight up backlash from the community. Like, nobody wants to hear about 343 Studios ever. Nobody wants to hear about Halo ever. And honestly, I don't even think I want to hear the term Xbox ever again. You know, I want Microsoft to get out of gaming. Like, I am sick and tired of seeing these situations just keep developing, right? Like, I'm so tired of every console generation. Like, no, Halo's gonna come back. It's gonna be great. Like, no, never was, never will be. It certainly isn't now, right? Why can't we just admit to ourselves that Halo was never an IP that could compete with Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, right? Like, Advance Wars is more relevant right now than Halo. Like, F-Zero is on the verge of coming back. So, how exactly am I supposed to take, like, the Halo studio seriously? Like, what exactly are they going to do to revitalize the brand? What can they do? Like, anybody who cares about these games are aging boomers who grew up playing these games in like the mid 2000s when they were in like their mid 20s, like living in their mother's basements and not like getting real jobs. You know, people like Spoonie, right? Right. This was the man-child game of the early 2000s. Like, oh, I don't have a job. I'm not ever going to be successful, but oh, at least I can pretend to be Master Chief. Ooh, he's such a great character. Ooh, he wears armor. Ooh, like Spartan. Ooh, like it's come on. The obsession with the character of Master Chief and the obsession with Halo and honestly the Xbox brand as a whole, it was deplorable. It was disgusting. It needs to be understood that this brand was never good.